have done it when they are drunk. However, I am not a very good or big drinker. I have like 1 or 2 glasses of wine because I genuinely like the taste of wine. But then it's like straight to my head and I'm all like, so I think for the purpose of actually getting this tag completed, it's better if I don't. But I do have a wine glass. And in that wine glass, I have put orange juice just to have some like aesthetically pleasingness for the tag. I was looking if I had like grape juice or apple juice, but no. Question 1 are wine coolers. You're 16 and you finally managed to sneak one of your mom's Smirnoff Ices. What is one of your most guilty pleasure reads? Now I have to say that I don't really feel guilty about anything that I read because I'm kind of like, well, I want to read it and I like it and somebody wrote it, so, you know, like, I'm not guilty. But I would say that, yeah, you know, books that you're probably going to be judged for enjoying, and for me, that is 50 Shades of Grey. This isn't like anything amazing, it didn't blow my mind, but it was just very different, I felt, and I felt like it was fun to read. I enjoyed the hype that was around it, I enjoyed like gossiping about it with my friends. I guess I enjoyed the whole experience of reading 50 Shades of Grey. So yeah, it's kind of like my guilty pleasure read because, you know, most people are like, oh my gosh, 50 Shades of Grey is trash, throw it away. But I'm like, no, I love it, it's going on my bookshelf. Question 2 is beer. I do not like beer. I find it very dry and like it just doesn't work for me. And I've tried Foster's, I've tried Heineken. I like cider I like, but beer I do not. You've made it to college and you're hosting your first kegger. Pick your favorite new adult or college-aged book. I am a big young adult reader, and also I might go to like above young adult but also above new adult readers such as the Red Rising trilogy, for instance, or Outlander, where they're adults. But I don't have many new adult / college aged books, I don't believe. However, there is one that is continually placed in the young adult section in bookstores. However, to me it is new adult and they are the age of new adult, and that is one of my favorite books ever. A Court of Mist and Fury. This is definitely my college kegger. Yeah! Question 3 is tequila! Woohoo! See, my initial woohoo reaction is probably the reaction I was supposed to have, but really, when I think of tequila, all I think is when I was younger, I made the mistake of doing shots. I no longer touch shots unless people literally chase me and force me to do it. But I'm like, you go ahead, you do you, boo, you do you. But I am not having that. No. And the question is so perfectly related to how I feel when I think of tequila. It is, you partied too hard last night and drank a little too much Jose Cuervo. What's a book that you never want to see again? Or your least favorite book? For this one, I'm going with 2 options because 1, I did not enjoy it. I'm not happy about it, but I will always have it in like prime position on my bookshelf. It will always be a part of me because it's a part of the series, and that is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. But because it says Harry Potter, I can't actually hate it because it's Harry Potter and Harry Potter rules. Whereas the next book, I actually prefer to The Cursed Child. However, I didn't enjoy reading it that much, only because it had a few characters that I just did not like. So when it came to reading them, I was just annoyed, and that was 3 Dark Crowns. I can't say I never want to see it again. I think I'm gonna buy the sequel, but this particular one, like when I look at it, it makes me angry because I think I've touched on it before. There is a love triangle in this that I'm just like, go f yourself. As you may have guessed, this is not a beer bong. This is like one of those things that make the awesome sounds when you spin it around. Question 4 is beer bong. What's a book you read super fast? My reading times vary, and it's hard to say which books I've ever read faster than another book, but I would say that most recently a book that I thought was going to take me a lot longer to read that I finished in like 3 or 4 days was The School for Good and Evil by Samantha Chinani. This is 488 pages, which for me, you know, over 300, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's gonna take me such a long time, but I managed to finish it in 3 or 4 days. Question 5 is spring break. You throw your inhibitions to the wind and end up having a sexy night you'll never forget. What is your favorite smutty read? Now immediately one book and one book only pops to mind because I don't really read smut. I don't like it when it's just like heavily slathered on smut just for the sake of smut, for smut's sake. I don't really read those books that I know are going to be overly smutty just because I'm like, well, where's my story? Where's my plot? Where's my character? Where is the person, the connection that I love? Like, show me that first and then throw in the smut and I'll be as excited as the girl in the book because, you know, I was waiting for it as much as she was. And one book that I read that, you know, met me on all those points and all those accounts, and I was like, yes, epic story plus epic love affair, yeah, was of course, A Corner Friendship. Question 6 is Screwdriver. What's the most twisted brackets H-E-H book you've ever read? I don't know what H-E-H is. I feel like I'm missing something. I need to go and look up some H-E-H slang in the book community. If you know what it is, let me know below. But basically, the most twisted book I've ever read. Now, off the top of my head, I couldn't think of many twisted books that I have read. However, there is a book that I read just recently where I was like, this is so messed up, this character is twisted. And that was surprisingly Fairest in the Lunar Chronicles. It's just a little novella and the character, Lavana, who is the villain of the Lunar Chronicles, is messed up. Like, the stuff she does to this one guard, I'm just like, that is twisted, that is not okay, that is just all kinds of crazy wrong. She is twisted. Twisted little screwy little mind. Question 7 is Long Island iced tea. The melting pot of alcoholic beverages. What is one of your favorite diverse reads? For me, that is definitely Six of Crows. This cast of characters are just some of my favorite characters, and they're all so unique and diverse. They're all from different areas in the fantasy world, but then also they have different sexual preferences, they're all different races, they come from different backgrounds, different stories, just they're all so diverse. Question 8 is Sex on the Beach. A drink that's great in theory, but wasn't exactly all it was cracked up to be. What is a book that just didn't live up to the hype? Allegiance by Veronica Roth. I kind of had hyped myself up, like I have myself to blame because I read Insurgent and I was like, okay, not what I had hoped after Divergent, you know, So when I read Insurgent I was like, oh, okay, well, it's the middle book. I'm sure Allegiant's gonna bring it on home. So I had high hopes for Allegiant. I think the whole booktube community had high hopes for Allegiant, and it did not live up to the hype. Question 9 is wine. 9 is wine is mighty fine. You've just gone through a rough breakup, so you park yourself in bed with your favorite bottle of wine, some ice cream, and a bucket for your tears. Name a book that made you cry all of your feels. For me, there's been many books over the moons of my life that have made me cry, but one that recently made me cry, and it popped into my mind when I read this question, was City of Heavenly Fire, the glorious conclusion to the Mortal Instruments series. And that's part of the reason why I cried, but also just everything that happens in this book. I just had all the feels. Question 10 is Strip Club. Sexiest naked book. For me, that is Confessions of an Ugly Stepsister by Gregory Maguire. He is the author of Wicked, and it is a Cinderella retelling. I haven't actually read it yet, but when I get this baby's clothes off, you get this great image of the guy and the girl that you see through the window of the jacket. You get the full image of them, and it continues all the way in the back where it just becomes like a close-up of them. And that is all for the drunk book tag. As always, I tag you guys to do it too. And do you enjoy a drink? What's your favorite drink? What's your least favorite drink? Can you handle shots? Unlike me. Can you handle beer? Unlike me. Can you handle more than 2 glasses of wine? Unlike me. And if you haven't already, then please go and subscribe to my newsletter. I will link it below because then you can get a free copy of At Water's Edge. And then if you can leave a review, that would be amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you! And until next time, I'll see you. Bye!